Covering music-related content of all genres. If it filters through Eastern Texas, it's fair game. Y'all bring it. From Texarkana down to the coast and Dallas down to Houston and everything in between. We are ETX ROCKS! Hit the brakes! Cut! Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of the ETX ROCKS podcast with Boston Chris. Today we have a guest that is well known in the East Texas area. Individually, they are some of the most well-known and experienced musicians in the area. With amazing harmonies and a strong bluesy rock feel, their new album titled Coal Black Sky will leave you wanting more. ETX ROCKS is honored to introduce to you a top 5 finalist in the 2016 ETX Music Awards for Vocal Group of the Year. We're sitting here with the incomparable rhythm section of the Alan Fox Band. That's Greg Cagle, Terry Sawyer, and Alan Fox. Y'all say hi.
Hi.
Hello everybody. Texas.
Yeah, hi.
So we're sitting here at the Lone Star Music School on High Street in Longview, Texas, right after a blues jam that you guys have been that you guys had played in, and you guys said, "Hey, let's record a podcast. We're all here. We'll do it."
Right. Sounds like a great idea.
This is like our home, one of our home bases.
And I know that you guys, you three and Donnie Squared, how I like to call them, and Donnie Pendleton and Donnie Hart, you all live in kind of different areas of East Texas, and of course they're out in the Metroplex. So how do you guys kind of keep the flow of the band in, kind of grooving with all that geographic challenges?
Facebook Messenger plays a huge role in the administration of the band. We use the messaging on the social networks a lot. Email plays some part of it, but there's some phone calls. But we do a lot of multi-person messaging. We the whole group.
The group messages.
We do conversations like that, and we handle a lot of business that way.
Right. So you guys keep in contact that way. But I know you guys in the past have been a very busy live show band as well. I know you guys have kind of stepped back a little bit from that, maybe more in the last year or so. But when you guys were playing more, how did that come into play with the different locations?
Alan had the band since 2000.
Right.
And I think Donnie joined in 2005.
Yes.
And
now Donnie Pendleton?
Yeah, Donnie Pendleton.
Okay.
And then I joined in 2009.
And I came into the band the last week of July in 2011.
And Donnie Hart came in right before.
No, right after 2010.
Right
after. Okay.
Right after Terry. And by the time Terry and Donnie Hart had gotten on board, we had made the conscious decision to quit being a nightclub act. And we had decided that we were going to be songwriters and that we were going to try to produce an album. They already had done Juju Earrub independently in 2008 before I got in. But then I've always had a yearning to do, my own stuff. And these guys are like-minded, so... And it was a tough decision because I was paying my bills. Alan's paying his bills, Terry's paying his. A lot of us paying the light bill.
We were playing 3-4 nights a week.
Living, working in the nightclubs, and we made a choice to quit getting paid and try to pursue this. And it stopped being a source of income and started being a source of expenditure.
Yeah. So you kind of just stopped the live shows in pursuit of creativity. In a way.
Our objective was to create a market for ourselves.
Yeah.
And we were playing so much in the areas that we were in. We were just saturating the area, and we were old news.
Yeah.
I mean, we were known, but you could see us anytime.
Mm-hmm.
And our strategy was to stop playing all the time and create some sort of demand.
Yeah.
That's when we get hired for rallies
and then build on the
large concerts. We had draw then.
Yeah, that air of
pay
mystique.
$25 to come see us when you can see us for free tomorrow night.
So that we quit the nightclub thing and we started calling ourselves performing artists. And anybody that's been in music anytime at all knows that you are what you call yourself.
Right.
And you are what you allow yourself to be called.
Right.
And I'm telling you, I've seen bands break up on way, way less than this kind of stuff. And Donnie was living here, and he moved to Fort Worth. So all of a sudden, there's an even bigger rift in the geographical locations, and this is at a point where I've only been in the band like a year and a half, and Donnie looks me in the eye and he tells me, I give you my word. You know, this is not to destroy this band. This is to make this band more and better. And I believed him, and we went with that. And him getting in the Metroplex gave us opportunities.
Right.
And he met people, and in turn we met people, and we got to perform in front of people and be seen by people. And then he got, 2012, he picked up the East Texas Music Guitarist
Guitarist of the Year, right.
And then in 2013, I picked up Bass Player of the Year. Well, between him picking up in 2012 and me picking up in 2013, a promoter out in L.A. got word and got wind of us, I guess, and
So the awards were the catalyst for that.
they actually, I think so. I think that everything stemmed from the initial exposure through East Texas Music.
Wow.
Correct
really
me
did.
if I'm wrong, but Donnie Pendleton got nominated for Guitarist of
Right.
the Year the next year in 2013 and declined it. And that is what got the attention of Al Bowman in L.A.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
It was a combined exposure, and
All of a
and
sudden,
Donnie has
he was
very
nominated for Guitarist of the Year out in L.A.
Donnie has a very personable, tactful demeanor, and he conveys himself very well on social media,
Right.
and that attracted the promoter.
I know one thing, I've met all five of you guys. I consider y'all friends. I know you guys are big proponents of the East Texas Music Awards, and you guys have always been a huge rallier for us with the awards. And there's no better feeling than having a band of your caliber feel that way about what we try to do with East Texas music. So the thanks goes both ways for sure.
Well, we're old enough to remember where there wasn't no support.
Right.
There used to be a huge nightlife. There used to be nightclubs everywhere, and you could make nothing all over East Texas.
Right.
But the nightlife has thinned out a lot, and the pay really hasn't changed, but our perspective changed, and we decided to be a little something different. And I don't know a lot of guys that can be together this long and not get paid because
still get along with each other too.
My saying was always a band without gigs is not a band.
Well, I can kind of get what you're saying too, though, because I've been part of the music business for around a year, on the promotion and marketing side of it, distribution, whatever you want to call it. I don't get paid, so everything we do.
Well, if you settle for immediate money, you're going to get small money.
Absolutely.
And that's what the nightclub acts settle for. And it's hard to separate yourself from the average and be, considered different when they're everywhere. And
right.
There's all kinds of talent all over East Texas. It's a huge pool of incredible talent, but to each his own is all I can say. Everybody has to make their own choices about what they want out of it, and we made the choice to be broke and write songs.
Well, sometimes you have to have that vision of just we have to build this brand and build it to the point where it's ready to make money. It's ready to
And that's where we are. That's through East Texas Music. We went to L.A. We got to play the Whiskey A Go-Go and the Avalon Theater. And anybody that's a musician of any sort will tell you that is absolutely holy ground. And that was a culmination. That right there sets me apart from a lot of people I know, even if it's nothing but for me to be happy about, be proud of myself of. That was cool.
Right.
It was absolutely cool. We got to hang out on the Sunset Strip, West Hollywood. It was wild. But then even that moved forward, and the relationship between us and the label started to grow, because as a result of L.A., we met the guys over at our record label.
And what's the name of the record label?
The record label we're being released on is Mesquite Street Records, and they are a division of Pesci Music Group, which is owned and operated by Alan Pesci and
Based
out of Arlington, Texas.
So basically out where Donnie's are at.
Right. It's the studio we recorded at's called The Cove. We did a little bit of pickup work over at MediaTek, the the institute over there where you can learn to be a sound engineer. They had some interns that were willing to help out and pulled us out of a jam, and they were extremely helpful.
Speaking of training and learning, I understand that your first instrument with formal training was the saxophone.
Yeah, I started in junior high. I actually started late, but they stuck me in and I caught up quick. I played tenor sax for 3 or 4 years, and then my mother actually bought me a really expensive saxophone at the time, and I played it for about 4 years, and I quit high school band. I took it down to the local music store that I won't name, and I swapped it for a bass guitar.
It's not the one we're sitting in.
Took a bath on the deal. The guy, I was just young and stupid, and I had a bass guitar, but I mean, I took a bath. But
you moved from that to the bass.
Yeah.
So how'd you change your mind on that?
You know, John Entwistle.
It's all about the bass.
John Entwistle. You know, I was
like the Jimi Hendrix of bass guitars.
Yeah, I was probably 12, 14 years old, and we didn't have cable TV. You know, we had one channel, maybe two, and it was one of those fluky things. Late at night, I caught I think it was Don Kirshner's rock concert, and the Who did My Generation, and that monster bass riff over in the middle of My Generation, I was sold.
Right.
You know.
So we'll move on to Mr. Terry Sawyer, who is the percussionist in the band and heck of a bass player in his own right, I might add, here at the Lone Star Music School.
He plays everything.
Well,
yeah.
thank you.
Yeah,
You're very welcome. So I was reading a little bit about you, Terry, and in the bio on alanfoxband.com. Check it out if you haven't. That's alanfoxband.com.
ALAN.
Yes, FOX band.com. It said on there that you had laid down some drum tracks for multiple songs that have reached as high as the top 10 in the U.S. Charts, and that you're also a teacher and a pretty well-renowned session player as well.
Right, I've done a lot of session work through the years, and also teach drums, trumpet, and guitar and bass guitar.
And what do you teach?
I teach those instruments, and I teach them whatever they need to learn to reach their goals. I mean, they can.
Is there a location, or do you do it one-on-one?
Oh, shit, where do I teach?
Yeah.
I teach at School of Music in Hallsville.
Oh, cool.
And that's the location where I teach, and it's private one-on-one lessons, and they just call the store and set up the time with me, and we do it on a weekly basis.
And what instruments is that again?
Drums, trumpet, bass guitar, and guitar.
Wow.
Trumpet's my major instrument in college. That's what
Really?
That's my major instrument. Yeah.
So we've got two now that had horns that ended up in a different position or in a band.
Two horn guys are now the rhythm section.
Wow.
Right. That's pretty cool. So you guys should just break out the horn section one day. And
We can do it.
Did you play?
I played trumpet.
Yeah,
We
he
marched
played-
against
yeah.
each other in high school.
That's right. Yeah.
Is that real? See, I was reading about
Awesome
Alan
progress.
Fox, and Alan Fox has a degree in bioscience.
Yes.
He's
That's-
the coolest nerd you'll ever meet.
That is pretty phenomenal stuff there. I read that, and I almost fell out of my chair. I was like, here's a well-known musician. I mean, I've known about you a long time before I met you. And bioscience. So tell me, what was the urge to do that?
The urge was that
The
I needed
witch
to make a
doctor.
living.
I need a job.
I needed a job.
Was
and
music always
and
there?
I
And
did
that,
not want. Music has always been there since I was 10, and learned when I was learning how to play the guitar at 10.
He got a scholarship.
And
To college on a scholarship.
a vocal scholarship.
I got
Studied music
vocal
in college too,
scholarship to SFA, and I was in band all the way through high school, except for even my last year. But the last year of high school, I decided to take choir just as a slough-off course. Sorry, guys, but I ended up going to state and winning a scholarship to SFA. It seemed to be a pretty good move at the time. So I did a lot of work in Nacogdoches. Opened up for Stevie Ray Vaughan at the Crossroads.
Wow.
And playing solo act. Played. I was a singing waiter.
Wow.
At Rossini's Warehouse Restaurant. I don't know if it's still there or not. It's been forever since I've been to SFA. And quit college. I'm sorry, Greg. But
I don't
quit
think
college.
I could eat if he was standing over me.
Oh no. We had a stage, guys. We had a stage.
So it wasn't like right on top of
We were on the floor. We were waiters and waitresses.
Wait, what kind of waiter stays on the stage though?
No,
Well,
you had
in
to
between-
find time. We had music constantly going. Everybody that worked there performed.
He's trying to defend it now.
It was owned by my voice professor, Dr. David Jones.
He had the inside track.
Yeah.
And it paid a lot better. I mean, the scholarship paid for your tuition and stuff, but gave no living expenses.
Somehow he put Stevie Ray Vaughan and singing waiter in the same sentence.
You know,
He's been
I
all
was
over
moving
town,
on.
man.
You know.
Yeah, you're moving on. Yeah,
But I met
absolutely.
a man named Michael Garvin at Stephen F. Austin, and actually quit college and voided my scholarship. My parents were very upset with me.
I can imagine.
We'll move on about that also. But anyway, Mike Garvin is very famous to this day. He's written songs for everybody from J Lo to Diamond Rio, Me Oh My, and Waiting for the Night for J Lo, and Donnie and Marie Osmond, and the Gatlin Brothers. And he's been very successful in the writing field, except there was one flaw in that we quit college and we did all of these demo tapes, and they signed him as a songwriter, and I got left in Bossier City.
I thought you were going to say you got left at Rossini's.
No, at Bossier City. I was going
right here.
No, but I got a job doing the same type of
getting the hang
thing,
of it.
except I was not a singing waiter at the Spaghetti House in Shreveport. I got a job there and did the same thing I've always done. All of a sudden, I started teaching at Kozak Music in Shreveport, and one thing led to another. We went on a couple of tours, and
And you were teaching music?
I was teaching music. I was teaching voice, bass, and guitar. And
He was in a band with a xylophone.
yes, I was. We carried our own ferns into the afternoon teas and wore tuxes and hide behind the ferns as we're playing.
Good Lord, you are every cliche ever.
You know, it's like you are just to help. You do not mingle with the guests. I mean,
You have to look at it
I
this
think
way.
they did Quando.
Did you ever work on a cruise ship?
no.
We would have had the trifecta.
I get seasick just taking a nap in the car on the beach.
We can't even work the gambling boats on the river.
So basically, what I'm saying is you've got to find a job on a cruise ship.
I know.
Hey, put it that way. He's already gone from a singing waiter to a waiting singer.
Yeah, that's what I.
There you go. There you go. That
I'm
is
a waiting
true.
singer now.
Yeah, that
That's
is
exactly
true.
right.
Now we're a waiting singer.
But music has always been a very, very large part of my life,
Mine too.
and sometimes I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse.
It's probably a bit of both.
But
I
it's a
imagine.
God-given talent, and I appreciate the good Lord for giving it to me. And I can't express myself enough. It's brought me around all of you guys. It's got me. My goodness, you know, to the age that we are right now, we've just gotten signed with a record label, Mesquite Street Records, and I never thought that would happen in my whole lifetime. So my cliche saying is, don't give up on your dreams, because you never know when they're going to be answered.
We looked for years for financial backing. I mean, we actively looked. We actively, we deployed, strategies and.
There's a lot of thinking behind everything.
I don't want to say this was dumb luck, because there was worlds of effort that went to getting us to where we were when this happened, but it was just about a relationship that formed.
Right.
And Alan Pesci and Donnie Pendleton got to be acquaintances, and things opened up in Arlington, and the studio became a reality. At first, we did a little bit of work with them. We did a promo. We did a four song EP with it,
yeah.
and I think it sold them. They decided that they liked what they heard, and they wanted to go forward with us on the project. And then we were lucky enough to pick up a gentleman named Mike Gage, who has come in and produced this for us. And Mike is an incredible individual. You know, you meet some people who have innate ability in their field, and he's one of them. This guy is like a maestro. He is the boss. I mean, and he's like another member of the band. He fits in so well. Everybody works so smoothly together, and when it's your turn on the chair, and you have to sit down in front of him and play your parts, it's a little bit intimidating, but it's invigorating.
Yeah.
And when you accomplish it, I don't care if it takes 5 hours. You know, you're proud of what you come off with.
Of course.
And he pushes all of us to limits and to extents that I don't think any of us really thought we had in us at times.
Yeah, he knows how
And
to
he's
get the
so
best out of
talented
it.
at what he does. He doesn't hack us off when he does.
And that's the thing. It's like
which is a talent in itself.
Absolutely.
it's like it's hard to explain if you haven't been there. It's really magical.
Right.
It's a lot of fun doing, getting to do what you love to do, but
He pushes us to
when you sit in that situation and
through situations that we never thought we could go through.
well, you go in with this idea, and through production it evolves, and it turns out to be way more than you even imagined it could be to start with. It's blown my mind.
Right.
The what we come up with as far as there's been a couple of songs I absolutely hated. When we first put them together, I was like, no. And then I've always been an advocate of everybody's idea should at least be developed and considered, but it has to be developed and it has to have a chance to evolve and see what it will be. And I've had to make myself shut up and sit back and let it be, just like the song says.
So that's a good segue to get into our first commercial. We'll make Greg Cagle shut up for 1 second, and we'll let you know about the wonderful sponsor we have for this episode of ETX Rocks, and that is this episode is brought to us by Lone Star Music School right here in Longview, Texas, at 313 B High Street, right there in downtown Longview. If you're looking for the best in music lessons, instrument repair, or buying musical instruments and merchandise, as well as an amazing Monday night blues jam that's open free to the public, please check out the Lone Star Music School right there on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/Lone Star Music School. And we're back here with the Alan Fox Band. I'm going to let Greg talk again here in 1 second, but we want to get a little bit more in depth with their album. And everybody's pointing at Terry because Terry needs to talk. So Terry, say hi.
Hi, everybody.
There's Terry Sawyer, everybody.
Terry never says anything.
That's right.
He
He does all his talking with his sticks.
When he does, everybody listens.
So I understand that this lineup, this 5-man lineup's been together since about 2011. But the band concept's been around since 2000. So we're talking 16 years that the AFB has been a thing. But this lineup formed in 2011, so that means that this is the first album for this lineup of the AFB, right?
It's been a love of labor,
Or vice versa.
or vice versa, of being able to find the personnel to fit and have the same goals as we all do. And that's the main thing is that everybody didn't want to be just a copy tune, a human jukebox. Just about anybody can do that that's a talented musician. But what it takes is what we're all looking for is part of our inner being is being produced through music. And no matter what color you are, music has no color. Everybody can enjoy this. It's a southern rock flavored type album. We used to call it original heavy blues, since most of the classic rocks songs were old blues songs that have been rocked up by certain bands, such as Bad Company, The Who, The Foghat. All of them have taken old blues songs and made them into great rock hits. I mean, just think about I Just Want to Make Love to You that Foghat put out. That's an old blues song. And it turns out great. But the beauty of that we're doing is we collectively wrote this whole album except for 2 of the songs on it. And it was scared. I was scared to go into the room and sit down with everybody in the band. I had never collectively wrote anything.
We put ourselves in a situation, quitting the nightclubs when Donnie moving to Fort Worth and us being so separated and never being together. We put ourselves in a situation where it had to be what we wanted it to be or fail.
What I think is really amazing is, here you got 5 guys that have all been musicians for well over 30 years, I would imagine, with each of you. And yet somehow all of your ideas and things like that came together to form this masterpiece that's in front of us now with Cold Black Sky. And I mean, that's a lot of years and experience and things like that. You'd think there'd be a lot more, creative differences, and you guys worked all that out.
They're there, and it was a lot of hard choices. It sounds like a neat little story, but I'm telling you, there was a lot of doubt, there was a lot of concern, there was a little bit of fear and intimidation. We didn't know. We pushed ourselves to the point that we had to write songs and be songwriters, and then we looked at each other and wondered if we could do it.
Yeah.
And the first few sessions that we had when we tried to write songs, I was terribly, terribly not happy.
We would have to take breaks and go to the corners of the room.
I was concerned. I was concerned that we had done ourselves
Everybody take a break.
And this band, this lineup has always had an innate ability to meet a challenge. We've played some oddball stuff with just little or no rehearsal, and we've done well, and we'd put ourselves in situations and succeeded before, and this was just a different arena, and it evolved and it happened, and I'm glad that we made the choice, but it was not an easy choice to make. We made a decision back right after I got in the band. Everybody, a failing I see in bands is everybody wants to be family and everybody wants to be brothers and love each other and act like they're married to each other. And we made a physical decision to be close friends, but to stay somewhat separated and be business associates. And that gives us the leeway to handle criticism and to develop strategies and to deal with this organization as a business. Wow. It doesn't make us cold-hearted to each other. Honestly, it makes it an even easier relationship because I've been in bands where you could not disagree.
Right.
You couldn't have, and one of the best sayings I've come out of this band with is when you're throwing things around, is anybody in this band can openly and honestly look at you and say, I have no ideas of my own, but I don't like yours.
Right.
And
I think that's cool.
It's just open and honest.
Right.
It's brutal.
I think it's cool because we just saw you guys perform not too long ago for Rock the Vote here at the music school in Longview, and just watching you guys coexist up on stage and the way you guys interact with each other. It's always fun and playful and whatnot. That night you were saying how you wrote this song, and Donnie was like, "No, you didn't." But so I think that's really good advice. What you just said for maybe some of the younger musicians out there is, it's okay to be friends, but remember you're running a business. It's not just a band.
I have always ran my band like a business.
And you need to speaking of young musicians, my advice for young musicians is the sooner you can attain a way to record your ideas, the better. You need to start now recording and saving your ideas because they go away, they fly away.
Right.
And you can't hold on to them if you don't. That's when we write songs now, we have developed a technique where we have either a premise that leads to a set of vocal lyrics, or we have a riff, and the ideas will develop around either or, and as they develop, you'll put the arrangements together. You put the arrangements together, and then Donnie Hart will scat
Right.
a melody.
Right.
He'll scat along over the top of it, and I'll take and record that, and I can take that home, and I can listen to what he's doing and the implications of the syllables in his vocals, and I can write to that.
Lyrics.
And it's very linear, and I'm a very linear person, but
Right.
that's how I approach it.
We have basically got to the point where we have found each of our individual strong points. Donnie will come up with a riff on the guitar, or I'll come up with a riff on guitar, and Hart and Greg, excuse me, hi Greg, I'm Alan. Nice to meet you, sir.
I know. They still don't know my name in this damn.
But Donnie Hart and Greg will collaborate.
Well, they weren't even
on
there when you won your
vocals.
award. What do you expect?
You know, we won't get into that.
That's messed up.
You're like, I might come off the stage. What you got in your hand?
Hey, that looks great.
We
When
won't-
did you
we
get
won't
that?
talk- we won't talk- we
He
won't
just
talk
got
about
off
where
the
they were or
stage.
what
I'm
they
going
were
like,
doing.
oh God,
I wish I was there for that. I would have died.
But
I was killing in my pimp suit.
we were getting into the point where it was going so fast that, you know, occasionally somebody else besides them would bring up some type of words or a riff in a chorus, and they would expand on that. But usually it's been somebody getting a riff on guitar, and them Terry laying down a beat, and Greg putting down a bass line, and then all of a sudden those two would start writing lyrics.
We wrote the lyrics for Ride in the studio on the couch while they were in the sound booth cutting
doing
parts.
our parts.
And me and Donnie Hart.
Wait a
sat there
minute.
and-
So you guys were laying down your pieces of the song that they were writing outside the.
Well, we already had the
The
arrangement.
lyrics,
We
you
already
guys were
had
writing the
arrangement,
lyrics.
Yeah, we just didn't have the lyrics.
Wow, that is amazing.
And while
And
they
they
were,
wrote them in the other room, in the waiting room of the studio.
That is amazing.
it
You
just,
know, it's just
they just
out of
fell-
necessity.
Well, they
Yeah.
fell together.
It's time, and we hadn't done it yet, so it's like we better get to it.
Well,
They go, "Do you want to help?" No.
what you,
Y'all are doing fine.
I came to realize is so many times I try.
Who's
Yeah.
that?
We collectively,
That's
I
Terry.
myself
That's his
as
new
well.
name. We I.
Stay with me here.
Hi, we I.
We, I, us, me. I would try to write songs from the end of production. I would try to write it technically and emotionally complex, and I failed repeatedly. And basically, I learned to take a very simple structure, put a very simple progression together, and it will evolve. It will grow, and through production and through the writing process, it will become way more than it started out to be.
Right.
And that's the magic of songwriting to me.
Yeah.
Is that I can remember sitting right there, and looking at Donnie Pendleton and listening to the idea that he was giving to me, and going, in my mind, I hate you. You know, this sucks. I don't want to do this. This is not going to. And it turned out to be the path.
Wow.
And it's one of the best
One of the
songs
best
in my
songs.
opinion.
Yeah, I love
on the
that song.
album.
I love that
Strong
song.
You know,
songs,
but
I
it
mean,
was one of those situations where you had to make yourself give it a chance, and it turned out.
Well, one of the things, I've seen you guys all together maybe 3 or 4 times, and I mean, what I'm really impressed about is the vocal harmonies that you guys put out. Did that come about by accident, or are those written as well?
we decided that
take the whip to everybody.
we're old and we're pretty ugly, and we're not any better guitar players really than anybody else.
Right.
And that if we're going to succeed or excel and be noticeably different, that we're going to have to sing and sing a lot of good harmonies, and that's our selling point.
Yeah.
You know, we do the twin leads, we feature the twin lead stuff because the guys are pretty damn good at it, but the harmonies are what we're pushing on this album. This is, you know, this is a collection of this group, and it reflects, you know, the whole
Right.
thing. I'm very proud of it. This is
I think you should be. I mean, it's definitely unique. I know there's a video that you tagged me in, Greg, where you guys are out in front of the American Airlines Center. And
a guy named Don Washon is a promoter up in Dallas. He pulls in people like the guy from Triumph, Rick Emmett.
Yeah.
He pulls him in for little acoustic gigs, and Don is a super nice guy, and he likes Alan Fox band, and he contacted Donnie's like, he pushed him over to me, and Don's like, you guys want to play the American Airlines Center?
Well, that's a dumb
And I was
question.
like, well, that's pretty cool. And he says, well, it's in front of a hockey game. It's not going to be inside. But, we were like, we don't care.
to see the Alan Fox.
We don't care. We got,
Well, I mean, that video, like, I played it, I think, yesterday. And, I mean, I'm already aware of you guys' harmonies and vocal power. And yet, when that song starts, and I think the four of you guys are up right there in front just belting out that first line. And I was like, man.
well, it's always cool as you can see them do it live. It's one thing to hear a band in the studio do something on an album, but it's another to see them pull it off live.
Right.
That's the magic of bands like Alabama,
Mm-hmm.
the Eagles. When you see them do that stuff live, it's magical.
Well, speaking of other bands, let me throw one at you. Each one of you collectively, what's your 3 favorite albums of all time?
Man,
Wow.
really? That's
difficult.
impossible.
Man.
Yeah.
Or you can go 3 favorite artists if you'd like.
I grew up on Rush, and Iron Maiden, and The Who, Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin.
Terry?
Well, for me, I mean, the Beatles got me started, of course, but Yes was one of my favorite bands, and Fragile was one of my favorite Yes albums, and then Trapeze was the
Trapeze.
funkiest white band I'd ever heard.
There's so
Trapeze.
many
Yeah.
bands. There's just so many.
I got turned on to
great
Trapeze in eighth
talent out
grade.
there that's
Yeah.
been produced. I love Yes also.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes and Trapeze, man.
Roundabout and things of this sort. Bad Company, Muddy Waters, Eric Clapton.
Alan's got a whole lot more old.
Could you guys name
numbers.
some bands that maybe kind of
blues-oriented
inspired the sound that you
Albert
guys have?
Collins and
I'd say a lot of influence from Thin Lizzy in this
Thin
band.
Lizzy,
A lot of Thin Lizzy.
Gary Moore that
A lot.
came out of Thin Lizzy.
I was a huge
did his
Thin
own
Lizzy
blues
fan. I think
thing.
all the guys in the band are
Yeah.
big Thin Lizzy
Yeah.
fans. We're all
Wishbone Ash.
Yeah,
God, I
Wishbone
can't
Ash.
remember how many gallons of gas I spent listening to my 8-track of Argus on Wishbone
What's an
Ash.
8-track, you say?
Really? I mean, for those of y'all that remember an 8-track.
Well, see, before you could plug in a phone and watch a video.
right.
Well, this is what I was fixing to say when Greg was saying to record your stuff. Technology has gone so many leaps and bounds.
It's
you
way
can take,
easier.
You can take your phone and record your ideas, but
Yeah.
put them down to where you can keep the hold of them.
Yeah.
I mean, I've woke up, I don't know how many times at 3 o'clock in the morning with a great idea. At least I thought it was great at that time. and went right back to sleep and go, what was that? It's just nowhere to be found in my brain now.
But it was so good.
It was so great.
And it was.
So you guys have the CD. Is it already out? Or
No.
It
We
is.
are in the middle of mix and mastering.
It's headed
The
to
mix
Nashville.
mastering.
Okay.
The last
It
words
has
on the
been
label.
mixed,
Yeah, it's
and,
headed to Nashville.
So what
It's going to Nashville to be
what approximate
mastered.
date do you think it'll be out around?
I would hate to say at this point in time, but it should be pretty soon. It seems like everybody's getting on the bandwagon and getting it ready to be released.
The last I heard,
Artwork has been.
it's
Go
gonna.
ahead.
The last I heard, it's going to be after September.
Okay,
And by after September, I'm hoping before the end of the year.
right.
Yeah, people were calling me and saying, "Hey, when are you going to finish your stuff on the album? So you're going to finish your album?" Somebody put somewhere that I hadn't done my drum tracks or something. Who
Terry's
did
been
that?
finished longer than anybody.
But see, I got through mine. I got through mine a long time ago, and I'd tell people calling, say, "Hey, I've already finished my."
You're
part."
already finished. You were finished 6 months ago.
So as part of the release of this album, do you guys plan on playing some live shows here locally, or?
We're planning on getting out there and doing a lot of performing, hopefully.
We don't know where yet exactly.
Yeah, we're wanting to book a few small shows to kind of break it in and get the show choreographed and lined out, and then move on up. We're hoping to
Maybe
pick up
buy
next
onto
year's
a tour.
pick up next year's festival circuit.
Cool. And is this going to be the only album with what is it, Mesquite Street Records?
This is the only one at this point in time. Yes.
Okay.
We're contracted with them for this one, with a possibility for more.
If we show them that
yeah.
we can sell and make money, well, of course they're going to want to do something else with us.
Right.
But it's just like anybody. We run it like a business. If we're not making money with them or us, it's time to make a change. I don't know which direction.
So
but it's just going to be.
The future's wide open. Is how we're looking at it. We're not.
Right.
We're not
putting anything
direction.
in stone at this point in time, except
So I know
we are going to release it.
I know individually y'all that Greg and Donnie Pendleton have won awards at the East Texas Music Awards, but this year you guys are nominated as a band for Vocal Group of the Year. Is that the first nomination for the band as a whole with the organization?
We
But we were
got the
nominated.
title of Rock Band of the Year out in L.A. We won that award. Donnie got Guitarist of the Year, and we got Hard Rock Band of the Year.
In Los Angeles Music Awards.
There is the Josie Awards over in Nashville.
I was just going to mention that.
That's actually the Sunday after the East Texas Music Awards on Friday night. We'll be in Nashville because we've been nominated there for Song of the Year for
Indie Rock Band of the Year and Song of the Year with
Riverboat Man?
Riverboat
Man.
Yeah. We got
that was released
we're
as a
getting
single.
some airplay on the European what do you call it, the .com radio thing, and we get some airplay up in New York. And we've got one of our most faithful DJs is in South Africa. He's been playing our stuff since 2010.
Yeah, you were telling us that you were huge in South Africa.
They're all short.
Both literally and figuratively.
Yeah,
We also released several singles.
It ain't the market it used to be.
We also released several singles off of that EP in Europe.
Yeah.
And got
we got a decent
regular
FM response, but
FM stations along with that were actually DJs were playing.
Yeah, 3 of those songs were actually playing in 40-something countries, I think.
Yes, and
we're hoping this one's going to go boom, though. The level
hopefully, we've always been hoping to be able to go abroad and tour. I'm hoping
South Africa first, of course.
I will play Sin City.
Since all the
skirmishes, Sun City.
we really thought about just doing the Sunbelt states first.
Yeah, since they've been carrying on.
That would be okay, I bet. So Riverboat Man has been released as a single. Is there somewhere out there that people can purchase that?
At any one of the websites.
I think it's on Amazon.
So like iTunes, Amazon, Spotify, all those places.
I think we ditched Spotify because we don't like what they represent or how they do business.
Same reason several other artists we know of that
they're
that.
You had to
just
sell
like
10 million copies
just like
to
the neighbor Taylor Swift.
$10. So it's on iTunes and it's CD Baby, I think. Yeah.
Well, you can for sure find it out there, and the name of that single is Riverboat Man. And again, that's another one of them songs that starts off with those amazing harmonies. We heard it here at the music school, and if you've ever been to the music school, you'll know that this is a very tiny room. And when you have those
the luxurious Lone Star Music School.
That's true. You should see the curtains that we're sitting next to.
In the throbbing heart of Longview, Texas.
But when those 4 powerful voices hit you, especially in a room this small, buy the single. That's all I'm going to say. So, Alan Fox, where can people find the Alan Fox Band on the net and on Facebook and other social medias possibly?
Well, if you go to our website, alanfoxband.com, it has links to everything else that we are associated with as far as Facebook, Twitter, Bitter and Twitter, and I don't know what all they are.
Instabook.
I'm the person.
FaceChat.
I'm the person that works in a place on a day job that doesn't get to do anything.
He's working on bioscience, and Greg Cagle is working out the social media.
That's it.
That's a great question.
I take on a good deal of the social media interaction. Donnie Pendleton does as well.
Yeah.
But my schedule allows me more interaction on the social stuff.
Right. So when people, if people go to alanfoxband.com, you can get to their Facebook. And once their CD, Coal Black Sky, is released, I bet you that'll be the first place that it'll be announced.
And there'll be buy links there. There'll be buy links on the .com. There's a Twitter page. There's a YouTube page.
Reverb Nation.
There's some really slick little videos still on there, I believe.
Okay.
When we were in LA.
So back in their younger years.
Yeah, 3 years ago.
Oh, so much younger.
Well, we definitely want to thank you, the rhythm section again of the Alan Fox Band.
The better part of the Alan Fox Band.
You're very
like
welcome. We're very happy that you guys sat down with me, and I hope people have learned a little bit more about you guys.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you.
No problem. And once again, guys, this has been another beautiful episode of ETX Rocks with Boston Chris. I want to remind everybody out there to support your local music, and ETX rocks.
That's right.
Covering music-related content of all genres. If it filters through Eastern Texas, it's fair game. Y'all bring it. From Texarkana down to the coast and Dallas down to Houston and everything in between. We are